Meet Erik. It's 11:30 p.m. Erik is exhausted. He knows he has to be up in 7 hours, but he isn't sleeping. He's scrolling. Erik tells himself he's just winding down, claiming the personal time that his busy workday stole from him. He believes sleep is just time off, a passive state where nothing happens. But Erik is wrong. He is actively engaging in revenge bedtime procrastination, a behavior where we sacrifice sleep to regain a sense of autonomy over our lives. But while Erik feels like he's stealing back his time, he's actually suffering from social jet lag without ever leaving his house. By staring at that screen, he isn't just staying awake, he is physically blocking the chemical recovery process his brain desperately needs to clean itself. Today we're going to show you exactly what's happening in Erik's brain and give you the shutdown code to fix it. Before we fix Erik's sleep, let's look at the cost of his rebellion. First, the blue light from his phone isn't just bright, it's a biological drug. Studies show that just 1 hour of tablet use before bed can suppress melatonin production by nearly 50% and delay the peak of that sleep hormone by up to 3 hours. Second, this delay prevents the brain from entering deep sleep, which is the only time the brain clears out beta amyloid, a toxic protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. Even one night of sleep deprivation increases this toxic burden. Finally, this isn't rare. Research indicates that 60 to 80% of students and young professionals report poor sleep quality, specifically linked to this type of evening blue light exposure. Erik isn't just tired, he is chemically compromising his brain's long-term health. This brings us to the mobile connectivity paradox. Erik feels a psychological need to stay connected and entertained to feel human after a robotic workday. This is driven by a dopamine dilemma. His brain craves the immediate reward of a like or a funny video over the long-term reward of sleep. But his phone is acting as a biological liar. It is beaming a signal to his brain that it is midday, creating a state of internal desynchronization. The shutdown code we are introducing today isn't about willpower, it's about biology. It is a specific ritual designed to break the conditioned arousal that makes Erik feel tired but wired. We have to stop the phone from lying to his hypothalamus so his body can naturally do what it was evolved to do, sleep. Here is the live demo of the shutdown ritual Erik needs to perform tonight. It has 3 distinct steps. Step 1. A vocal trigger. Erik stands by his bed and says, "Shutdown complete." This vocalization signals the brain that the work of the day, including the work of scrolling, is finished. Step 2. The separation. He physically walks his phone out of the bedroom and plugs it into a charger in the kitchen. This enforces stimulus control, ensuring the bedroom is a place for sleep, not entertainment. Step 3. The analog switch. He returns to a dimly lit room and engages in a non-screen activity, like reading a paper book or listening to soft music, allowing his melatonin to rise naturally without the interference of 480 nanometer blue light. This breaks the cycle of the lying phone. What happens when Erik executes this code? The results are physiological. Once he enters deep slow-wave sleep, his brain's glymphatic system activates. The space between his brain cells expands by up to 60%, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to wash away the metabolic trash like amyloid beta and tau proteins that built up during his stressful day. This doesn't just prevent long-term disease, it restores his cognitive speed for tomorrow. Furthermore, he enters REM sleep, which is nature's emotional therapy. It strips the painful emotional sting from his memories, meaning he wakes up not just rested, but emotionally regulated and less anxious. The gain isn't just energy, it's a completely reset emotional and cognitive baseline. Let's dig deeper into why Erik struggles. He believes he is reclaiming his time. This is the core of revenge bedtime procrastination, a rebellion against a day where he had no control. The ventral striatum in his brain lights up with dopamine when he sees a notification, reinforcing the behavior. But this is a trap. He is prioritizing immediate, low-quality reward over the high-quality recovery of sleep, a phenomenon called delay discounting. By staying up, he isn't actually relaxing. He is keeping his brain in a state of high beta wave arousal, preventing the parasympathetic rest and digest system from taking over. He is trading his biological restoration for a cheap dopamine hit that leaves him more stressed tomorrow. To understand why the phone is so damaging at 11 p.m., we have to look at the eye. Erik has special cells in his retina called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or IPRGCs. These cells contain a photopigment called melanopsin, which is incredibly sensitive to a specific wavelength of light, roughly 480 nanometers, which is the exact blue light emitted by Erik's smartphone. These cells aren't for vision, they are for timekeeping. When blue light hits them, they send a daytime signal directly to the brain's master clock. Even if Erik feels tired, this blue light signal is screaming noon to his biology, overriding his natural fatigue. That signal travels down the retinohypothalamic tract directly to the Suprachiasmatic Nucleus, or SCN. This is the master pacemaker of Erik's body. It controls everything: his temperature, his hunger, his hormones, and his sleep. When the SCN receives that blue light signal from the phone, it resets the clock genes, purr and cry, inside his cells. It thinks the day is just beginning. This creates a state of circadian asynchrony. His social clock says it's time to sleep, but his biological clock has been pushed back by hours. Erik has effectively given himself jet lag without ever getting on a plane. The most immediate victim of this false signal is the pineal gland. Normally, as darkness falls, the SCN tells the pineal gland to release melatonin, the hormone of darkness. Melatonin isn't a sleeping pill. It's the starting gun for the race to sleep. It lowers body temperature and prepares the body for rest. But the blue light from Erik's scrolling suppresses melatonin production rapidly. Studies show that light exposure can reduce melatonin by 50% and delay the onset of sleepiness. By the time Erik finally puts the phone down, the chemical wave he needs to ride into sleep has been crushed. He's left lying in bed, awake and frustrated. If you are seeing yourself in Erik's story, if you're tired of feeling wired at night and exhausted in the morning, you're in the right place. We are breaking down the science of high-performance health every single week. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the tools you need to reclaim your biology. Now let's look at what happens to Erik's emotions when he denies his brain the sleep it needs. When Erik wakes up after a night of revenge bedtime procrastination, he isn't just groggy, he is emotionally fragile. This is because he missed out on REM sleep, which is critical for emotional regulation. Without it, the connection between his amygdala, the brain's fear and emotion center, and his prefrontal cortex, the logic center, is severed. A sleep-deprived brain is 60% more reactive to negative stimuli. This means Erik is more likely to snap at a coworker, feel overwhelmed by a simple email, or spiral into anxiety. He hasn't just lost hours of rest, he has lost his ability to regulate his own personality. It gets worse for Erik's work performance. The brain fog he feels is actually a buildup of metabolic waste. Because he cut his sleep short, the glymphatic system didn't have time to flush out the neurotoxins and adenosine that accumulated yesterday. This leads to immediate deficits in vigilant attention and working memory. He reads the same sentence 3 times, he can't focus in meetings, he makes impulsive decisions because his executive function is offline. Erik thinks staying up late gave him more time, but it actually stole his competence for the entire following day. Over time, this creates a dangerous psychological loop called conditioned arousal. Because Erik spends so much time in bed awake, scrolling, worrying, and trying to force sleep, his brain stops associating the bed with rest. It starts associating the bed with being awake and anxious. It's like sitting in a dentist chair. You expect pain, so you tense up. Now, when Erik gets into bed, his heart rate rises and his brain wakes up, simply because he has trained it to do so. This is how revenge bedtime procrastination turns into chronic insomnia. To fix this, we have to break the association. The clinical solution for this is stimulus control. The rule is simple. The bed is for sleep and sex only. If Erik gets into bed and isn't asleep in 20 minutes, or if he starts scrolling, he must get up. He has to leave the bedroom and go to a dimly lit room until he is sleepy again. This sounds counterintuitive, getting up to sleep, but it retrains the brain. We need to weaken the link between bed and awake. If Erik lies there scrolling or worrying, he is reinforcing the insomnia. He must reteach his brain that the bed is the trigger for sleep, not for entertainment. To help his SCN recover, Erik needs to engineer his light environment. If blue light is the brake pedal for melatonin, red light is the neutral gear. Red light, specifically around 630 nanometers, has minimal overlap with the melanopsin sensitivity of the eye. By switching to red or amber lamps in the hour before bed, Erik allows his melatonin to rise naturally even if he is still awake. In one study, red light allowed for a significant rebound in melatonin levels compared to blue light. Erik doesn't have to sit in total darkness. He just needs to live in the sunset spectrum. The best way to fix tonight's sleep is to start this morning. Erik needs to anchor his circadian rhythm with bright light exposure within an hour of waking up. 15 to 30 minutes of sunlight signals the SCN to start the daily timer. It suppresses the lingering melatonin from the night before and, crucially, sets the clock for melatonin release 16 hours later. If Erik gets light at 7 a.m., his body will naturally start getting sleepy around 11 p.m. This is how he inoculates himself against the effects of artificial light later in the day. Morning light is the key to evening sleep. Erik also needs to respect the chemistry of caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours. If Erik has a coffee at 4 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in his brain at 10 p.m., blocking his adenosine receptors and masking his natural sleep drive. It's like tucking yourself into bed and taking a shot of espresso right before you turn off the lights. The shutdown code requires a caffeine cutoff 8 to 10 hours before bed. Also, Erik should wait 90 minutes after waking up before his first coffee to allow his body to naturally clear out residual sleepiness, preventing the afternoon crash. Temperature is a powerful sleep trigger. For Erik to fall asleep and stay asleep, his core body temperature needs to drop by about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. If his room is too warm or if he exercises too late, his body can't cool down to initiate sleep. The shutdown code suggests keeping the bedroom cool, around 65 to 68 degrees. Paradoxically, a warm shower before bed helps. It brings blood to the surface of the skin, dumping heat from the core, which causes that necessary drop in body temperature once he steps out into the cool air. Finally, to stop the racing mind that drives him to pick up the phone in the first place, Erik practices externalizing cognitive load. 1 to 2 hours before bed, he takes 5 minutes to write down the tasks and worries for tomorrow. The brain often keeps us awake to rehearse or guard these tasks. By writing them down, Erik gives his brain permission to let them go, knowing they are safely stored on paper. This reduces the cognitive arousal and anxiety that fuels the urge to distract himself with social media. He closes the notebook and says, "Shutdown complete." By following the shutdown code, Erik has moved from social jet lag to full recovery. He reclaimed his biology from his technology. Remember, sleep isn't just the absence of waking. It is an active metabolic process that keeps you sane, smart, and healthy. Don't let your phone lie to your brain. Try the shutdown ritual tonight. Vocalize the trigger, charge the phone in the kitchen, and see how much better you feel tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and share it with someone who is definitely awake scrolling right now. I'll see you in the next video.